The best product leaders aren't just product managers. They are part psychologists, part economists, part strategists. They see the world through a lens of first principles. But how do you move from theory to practice? How do you stop being a victim of chaos and start being the architect of your own outcomes? This is the Sovereign PM, the podcast that deconstructs the ideas of product strategist Schwarzkopf to give you a more powerful way to think and lead. It's time to own your outcomes. Let's begin.
All right, let's talk about a career strategy for product managers that honestly goes against almost everything you hear. We're not talking about job hopping, we're talking about a path to real mastery and ultimately a much bigger impact. So let me ask you something. Just scroll through your LinkedIn feed. How many "thrilled to announce my new role" posts do you see? It's constant, right? And it really makes you think about your own career. Are you building something real as a specialist, or are you getting caught up in the job hopper cycle? You can really boil it down to two different paths. You've got the job hopper on one side, always chasing that next 15% salary bump, hopping to whatever company is trendy this year. And then you have the specialist. This person is playing the long game. They're focused on deep, real expertise and creating value that lasts. And that choice, it changes everything.
Now, here's the core idea, and it might be a little controversial. That job hopper mentality, it's a trap. It feels like you're making progress, but it's one of the most counterproductive things you can do for your career in the long run. Why? Because you can't build great products, deep trust, or true expertise in just 12 months. It's impossible.
So, if you want to take the specialist's path, how do you actually do it? Well, we're going to break it down into 4 key principles. It's about going deep, not wide, using your personality as an asset, thinking in exponentials, and really partnering with the business.
Let's kick things off with that first principle, the incredible power you get from going deep instead of just spreading yourself thin. Think about it. We live in a world that is just full of generalists. So when you become a genuine expert in one specific area, it's like having a superpower. That kind of deep knowledge is rare, it's valuable, and when you have it, the best opportunities, they start finding you. So how do you get there? It really starts with a choice. You have to pick something. Pick a domain, say B2B SaaS pricing. Pick a specific customer you want to serve, or a really thorny, complex problem, and just commit. Decide you are going to own it. The whole point is to resist that temptation to be a jack of all trades and instead become the go-to person for that one thing.
And here's a little litmus test you can use like every single day. Just ask yourself, what tangible value am I creating for this business? This one question completely shifts your mindset. You stop thinking about just shipping features and you start thinking about moving the metrics that actually matter. That's where real impact happens.
Okay, on to our second principle. This one is all about seeing your personality as your greatest asset, not something you need to cover up. You know, so many of us go into interviews trying to be this perfect, polished professional. But that's a huge mistake. It's totally exhausting, and you can't keep it up forever. The real goal isn't to get any job. It's to find the right job. The one place where all your quirks and your unique perspective aren't just tolerated, they're actually valued.
And the way you find that place is actually pretty straightforward. You have to treat every single interview like a two-way street. You are interviewing them just as much, if not more, than they're interviewing you. And that means you've got to show up ready to ask the hard questions, the ones that reveal what the culture is really like behind the fancy careers page.
Questions like these, they cut right through the corporate fluff. When you ask about failure, you learn how they handle risk and learning. When you ask about disagreement between product and sales, you uncover the real power dynamics. And when you ask how they support someone who's struggling, you find out if they're actually human. The answers to these questions, that's the real culture.
All right, principle number 3. This is a big one. It's about changing how you think about your career growth, from small, linear steps to a massive exponential curve.
I absolutely love this metaphor. Chasing a small pay bump every year by switching jobs is literally like pulling a plant out of the soil every few months just to check on the roots. You never give it a chance to grow deep, to establish the foundation that's needed for massive, explosive growth later on. You're trading long-term compounding for short-term validation.
So, for any ambitious PM out there, especially if you're early in your career, here is the key takeaway. Optimize for learning. Above all else. That means being in the office, soaking up all that knowledge you get through osmosis. Listening to engineers debate a technical problem or sitting in on a tough sales call. That's the kind of knowledge that compounds over your entire career.
And that brings us to our fourth and final principle.
If you want to have real influence, you have to stop thinking like an employee and start acting like a partner in the business.
Look, as product managers, we're told over and over to be obsessed with the user. And that is absolutely vital, but it's only half the story. To really lead, you have to be just as obsessed with how the business actually works and succeeds. You need to get passionate about the business model itself. So what does this look like in practice? Here's the playbook. First, stop comparing salaries with everyone. Instead, focus all your energy on increasing your unique value to the business. Second, don't just work in the system, work on the system. Build frameworks and processes that help everyone make better decisions. That's how you scale. And finally, see profit not as the goal, but as the natural outcome of creating incredible value for your customers.
When it all comes together, when you focus on mastery, on being authentic, on partnership, you don't just build a more successful career, you escape that short-term transactional world of the job hopper, and you build something that is way more impactful and honestly, just far more fulfilling. So I'll leave you with this final thought. After seeing this path laid out, the real question isn't whether you should specialize, it's what you're going to specialize in. What is the one domain that you will choose to truly master?
And that brings us to the end of this debrief. Our goal is to give you not just ideas, but a more powerful way to think. If you found value in this discussion, the best way to support this work is to give this episode a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future session. And if you know a fellow product leader who is wrestling with these same challenges, feel free to share this episode with them. As always, you can find the link to the original, in-depth article by Karsten Schwarzkopf directly in the description below. Thank you for your time and your attention. Stay sovereign.